welcome to this video series on the Gimp 2.4. Now in this particular video we're going to be touching base on a couple of the select tools here in our toolbox. In this particular video we're going to be working mainly with the rectangle select tool, but we'll kind of touch on these other ones because there's some similarities between these. So once we cover the one, then you'll have a pretty good idea on working with the others as well. So let's go ahead and jump right into this and get us a new palette going. And we're going to go with the 250 by 250 pixels. So basically it's a square, so determining whether we want to use portrait or landscape would make no difference whatsoever. And as far as the additional info here, you can alter this by going to advanced options. Just click on the little plus sign there. And really, if you're working with web pages or websites, then 72 DPI or the resolution of 72 points really is plenty. You go larger than this and it's going to affect the file size, which of course will affect the amount of time it takes for your web page to open or to upload or download these particular images or creations you're going to be making using the DPI that's given here. The only time you really want to go more than 72 is if you're working with printing. If you're going to be printing a particular object or a picture, then you may want to go with like 300 DPI. Just an idea. And then the color space, basically if you're working with color, RGB, or grayscale, which basically is black and white. The background color, I just leave this alone, unless of course you're working with photos. Then you might want to go with transparency, just an idea there. Again, play around with it. And then the comment section here, if you're a bit of an ego maniac, then you might want to toss in your name here. Otherwise, because this really doesn't show up too often anyway, but anyway, it's there in case you want to play around with that. So let's go ahead and get us our new palette of 250 by 250, and we'll move it over in between the two docks here. And as far as the select tools, which are basically these top six in this top row here, just kind of touching on this is our rectangle select tool, our ellipse select tool, the free select tool. Now the free select tool, like these, will determine a particular part of your canvas. Although with this one being only a rectangle in size or shape, this one being an ellipse in shape, the free select tool, as you may have guessed by the name, you can do whatever you want. But you'll see down here in our additional functions of these tools that we select, there's going to be some similarities, namely this top section here. So under the ellipse tool, you'll see that it also has the anti-aliasing, feather edge, expand from center, and the different modes. The free, the fuzzy select, and you can see the name right here of the tools that we select. The select by color, the scissors, and the foreground select. Now this one here, it's kind of a freehand, or the paths tools. Basically I use it for freehand drawing kind of thing, but we'll get into that in a later video. But these other select tools, you can see again they have their similarities in some of the functions that are offered. So again, by going over the one rectangle select tool, you'll be able to adapt the same information for the most part for these other select tools as well. But we'll go into those here in a later video. But for the time being, under the rectangle select tool, we've got us a rectangle. Cool. And you can adjust the sizes here by highlighting one of these segments and moving it in or out to your desired area that you need selected. Now with the select tool, any work that will take place will only take place inside of these moving or marching ants. As you can see, they are moving right along here. And let me just demonstrate this by opening up our brush selection tool, and as you can see, nothing's happening outside of the selected area, only inside. So again, that's one of the purposes behind using one of these select tools up here. I'm going to erase this or undo it by holding down my control key on my keyboard and hitting the letter Z. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this by doing the same task again. So now we're starting again with our empty palette. I want to show you the feathered edges. And basically what it's going to do is just kind of feather or blur the edges of our selection. So the default is 10, and of course you can adjust this. The higher the number, move the toggle up, the fatter the blur will be. So let's stick it down here again just for demonstration purposes, 10, or in this case 12.6. Now this will only work if you select this or tick this box prior to creating your selected box, or in this case rectangle. So if you select this and then click on this, it's not going to work. So let's go ahead and demonstrate our feathered edge here. You can see again it's just a little bit of a blur around the edges. And to demonstrate this more, so we go up here to select and kill our marching ants. So you can see the little blurring around the sides here. Okay, and by the way, with it being unselected, I can manipulate the information in here any way I want, anywhere inside of our palette. So again, that's one of the reasons behind using the select tool. So Control Z my mess here, and rounded corners, just as the name may imply, you're rounding the corners. Okay, that's not very much, so you can see now, unlike the feathered edges, you can make this adjustment after you've made your selection. So almost up to an ellipse, or in this case a circle. So again, that's our rounded corners. This works pretty cool. I've used this whenever I've been making badges or wanting to in the header image or a web page where you've got or want rounded corners. It comes in pretty cool, or works pretty good there. So that's pretty much our select tool as far as these three here: the rectangle, the ellipse, and the free. These are all basically the same. Oh, and one other thing too, down here in the corner, I'm going to go over the modes here real quick to highlight our mask. So here, in this particular mode, we can add to the current selection. So I'm going to add that, add that, add that. Now, and to kind of see what I'm working with here, go down here to this toggle quick mask. It's right here in the corner, lower left corner, and you can see, and it's already added the feathering there, the feathered edges or the blurred edges. So you can untick this if you don't want that in there. So again, this just gives you a better view of what you have selected. Now you can untick this, and these two here we will subtract. Just as we added, we can subtract the same thing that has already been added. Check this out. As you can see, this has been subtracted and that's been subtracted. So again, that's a bit of our modes up here. We've touched base on the feathering of the edges and the rounding of the corners. And a lot of this other information down here, you can just play around with this. But these are the main functions of our select tools: the rectangle, the ellipse, and the freehand. So I hope you learned something from this video on utilizing these select tools in your GIMP 2.4. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.